First, I would like to talk about James William Cease, a person that is technically listed as missing on NamUs, though, from what I understand with my research about this subject, we know where, so to speak, he is. It's just that because of an autopsy, that hasn't come back yet, or at least hasn't been confirmed in the news, has his body been technically, I guess you would say, claimed. James William Cease was born on April 3rd, 1974. He went missing on December 22nd, 2022 from Goliad, or the Victoria area of Texas. James is described as 6 feet tall, white, 130 pounds, and he was 48 years old at the time that he went missing. He had strawberry blonde hair and blue eyes. There are no comparisons to his case and no further information on his NamUs profile. On January 6, 2023, the Victoria Advocate posted an article about one person found dead in Goliad County after a house fire. At the time of the article, the investigators were still trying to identify a person that had been found dead in the home. The person had not yet been ID'd, though the house was owned by a person that might have known the identity of the deceased. On December 22, 2022, around 7:40 p.m., authorities were dispatched to a fire at a home at 440 Chris Thompson Road near the unincorporated community of Schrader. The home was a double-wide trailer / manufactured home, whatever you want to call it, that had been destroyed. The Texas Rangers assisted in the fire investigation. They were asked to help because of their expertise in fire investigations in the past. One sheriff, Sheriff Boyd, was quoted as having said, "Any case that involves death, we investigate it as if there could be foul play, so that everything is done properly." When the fire was reduced to a manageable level, first responders discovered a body inside the home. As of the article, there was no determined cause for the fire, and foul play was not suspected. An autopsy was pending at the Texas Medical Examiner's Office, which was in Austin. The autopsy has not come back yet, at least from the last news article I had read. Jennifer Cease DeVos of Victoria, Texas, said that she believed the deceased was James Cease, who was living at the home. There doesn't seem to be a Find a Grave page for James Cease, though there is one on tributearchive.com. There are no reports of an unidentified body in the Goliad County area on NamUs. There are also no unidentified people listed on the Texas Missing Person Clearinghouse from that area in time. James is not listed as missing on that site either. There have not been any updates to the case, and while it seems pretty clear-cut, I personally would just like to know the cause of the fire. From what I understand, many autopsies are on a long waiting list for results, so we may still have to wait on any confirmation on who exactly is the deceased individual. Though I feel like, once again, it's pretty obvious that that person is very likely to be James Cease. Now, if he did pass away in this fire, what could have caused it? Considering this happened in December of 2022, I can only assume that with a manufactured home, he probably had something like a space heater or some sort of, I guess you would just call it extra, as in not HVAC, no central air heat on its own, that he might have been using, or something extra to heat a certain room. This seems to be the case, at least around where I live. You know, in Texas, you unfortunately kind of hear about this stuff a lot, where somebody has a space heater and their house catches on fire in the middle of winter. A similar case where the fire in a home was actually linked to a space heater that went awry is the case of Tina Pinkard, of which I saw an article posted by the Victoria Advocate where they really hadn't identified her. Article was actually related to James Cease in the related content, and so all they really ever said was just an unidentified woman, but they really hadn't specified on who, what, when, or why. But on December 30th, 2022, the Victoria Advocate posted an article about one person being injured and another killed in a house fire outside of Seadrift, Texas. The article states that it was reported Friday morning, though I'm not sure if they meant December 30th, 2022, or which was a Friday, or the 23rd, which is a Friday, but whatever. Anyway, a man made it out of the burning house on Davis Road in Seadrift. He was sent to a hospital in the nearby Victoria, Texas area with both internal and external injuries, which resulted from the smoke and fire. A woman did not survive, and a dog was found dead inside the home near her. Calhoun County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy Johnny Kraus was notified of the fire around 6:30 a.m. He stated, "It's a total loss. It got so hot, it warped the metal frame of the home." The house was destroyed by the fire. The man and woman were sleeping at the time of the fire, and the man escaped the home and started banging on his neighbor's doors for help. An autopsy was likely to be requested, but many of the details were unknown on the December 30th article. A few days later, on January 3rd, 2023, the Victoria Advocate posted another article stating that the woman was still unidentified. Sheriff Bobby Vickery stated, "We don't have a positive identification on her yet. We know who she is. We're 99% sure. But if it turned out not to be the correct identification, it would create a huge issue." The man of the house was still in the hospital, but was not identified in the article. He was in a relationship with the woman, though they weren't named at the time. Sheriff Vickery added that there were no indications of foul play, and instead the fire may have been caused by a propane heater. At the time of the article, the heater theory was just speculation, as the fire marshal was still investigating. The article stated that once the cause was determined, the victim's identity would be released. As far as I could see, the Victoria Advocate never updated with this information. On January 10th, 2023, Crossroads Today reported that the woman was Tina J. Pinkard. The man she lived with had severe injuries. Supposedly, this article stated that a man was found inside, but I assume that this was her boyfriend. I'm not sure if he went outside, asked for help, then went back inside. I'm unsure. When emergency services arrived to the scene, the trailer home was completely engulfed in flames. Her boyfriend suffered from smoke inhalation, and he had severe burns to his lungs from the smoke and heat. Months before her death, there was an article from the Port Lavaca Wave stating a list of arrests. One was of a Tina Janelle Joy Pinkard, who was 32, who was arrested for possession of a prohibitive substance in a correctional facility. I couldn't read more because the article was behind a paywall, but I assume that Tina had troubles with the law in the past. Another article from 2019 stated that she was arrested for possession of a controlled substance less than 1 gram. This doesn't detract from her tragic death, and I'm not saying in any way that it was deserved. It's still very sad and shocking in general. I wonder if her substance abuse might have had something to do with the fire. Maybe, you just pass out and you don't come to in time, or what, I don't know. I couldn't find any info on the man that was in the fire or any more info about Tina. At least not from news articles. There doesn't seem to be any obituary for her, and I couldn't find a Find a Grave page for her either. But curiosity got the best of me, and I looked her up on Facebook, and her pages are still up, at least as of 2023. Once again, as I've always stated before, please don't bother these people, their families, or anything of that like. I just want in some way to sort of honor her life, because she had a very tragic and undeserving death. It appears that at the time of her death, Tina was engaged, as was made public on Facebook, which seemed to have been January 24th, 2022. Her fiancé went by the name Wombat. I don't know why, and I'm a little afraid to ask. But it's a very Texas nickname, honestly. Anyway, I assume that this was the man who, of course, was mentioned in the news articles, and I think his real name might have been Rob, or something along the lines of that. On January 22nd, 2023, it appears that a funeral/remembrance ceremony was held for Tina by her family. Beyond that, I am unsure of what else to say. I feel very bad for her family, and I guess you would call him her widow. Rest in peace, Tina. To talk a little bit about carbon monoxide poisoning. I'm not sure how many people really know about carbon monoxide or carbon monoxide poisoning in general, especially as time moves on and more people live in houses that are powered by electricity. We come across adults that are somehow more susceptible to carbon monoxide poisoning because they didn't know or grow up with even the jokes and memes of, leaving the car on in the garage closed. I know as a kid there was always that kind of joke. I could think of a couple of comics right now, morbid comics about the car joke, but even still. So what is carbon monoxide, and what is the poisoning of it? Carbon monoxide is a colorless odor. It's a odorless gas that is made when fuel burns. Fuel such as wood, gas, coal, natural gas, or kerosene. Breathing in carbon monoxide fumes prevents the body from using oxygen properly, which can harm the brain, heart, and other organs. People with health problems such as heart and lung disease are at greater risk for harm. Infants, children, pregnant women, and older adults are at greater risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, most carbon monoxide exposures happen in the winter. The most common source of CO1, as I like to call it, carbon monoxide, is unvented space heaters in the home. An unvented space heater uses combustible fuel indoors and indoor air for the heating process. It vents the gases it makes into the room instead of outdoors. A space heater that is not installed right or working properly can release CO1 and other toxic fumes into the room and use up much of the oxygen in the room. Most space heaters use kerosene or natural gas for fuel. Newer models have oxygen sensors that shut off the heater when the oxygen level in the room falls below a certain level. Older models don't have this safety feature, and because of these safety problems, some states have banned them for unvented safety measures. I personally have not seen these, but my house is a little different. There are various sources of carbon monoxide poisoning, and some of these include malfunctioning cooking appliances, tobacco smoke, clogged chimneys, auto-exhaustive idling vehicles, malfunctioning water heaters, malfunctioning oil, wood, or gas, coal furnaces, wood-burning fireplaces, unvented space heaters, gas or fuel-burning appliances in cabins or campers, barbecue grills, pool or spa heaters, ceiling-mounted heating units in fires, and more. These appliances that would be malfunctioning would have to run on gas, though, to essentially cause this to begin with. Symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning include headache, dizziness, weakness, nausea, vomiting, rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, seizures, chest pain, cardiac arrest, loss of hearing, blurry vision, disorientation, loss of consciousness or coma, respiratory failure, and of course, death. The symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning may look like other medical conditions or problems, including the flu or food poisoning. Of course, always see a doctor for treatment. The poisoning is often diagnosed based on known exposure. A blood test may be done to check for CO in your blood. A physical exam may also show changes in mental status. There may also be chest, X-ray, heart, and neurological tests done. If you suspect carbon monoxide poisoning, leave the area. Get fresh air right away and turn off the CO source, but only if it can be done quickly and safely. Call 911 if you live in America. And if someone has stopped breathing, get them fresh air immediately. Start CPR and do not stop until they breathe on their own or someone else can take it over. If you are alone, do CPR for 2 minutes, then call 911. CO poisoning can cause death. If the brain goes without oxygen too long, there can be brain damage. Carbon monoxide poisoning can be prevented by having your furnace and fireplace cleaned and checked before each heating season, or more regularly if you would like. There are a lot of things that to me seem to be common sense, but like I said, as we progress through time and we have more houses and appliances that run on electricity only, I can really see younger adults falling through the cracks and not knowing about carbon monoxide and the risks of being poisoned. So, for example, I'm not sure how many people know now that you shouldn't leave your car, truck, or whatever vehicle running in an enclosed area, such as a garage, even with the outside door open. That's usually the main thing, and like I said, I know this is morbid, but there was always the morbid joke of somebody ending it all and going to their garage and leaving the car on. Anyway, of course, on top of that, don't use portable heaters or lanterns while sleeping in enclosed areas, such as tents, campers, and other vehicles. This is even more important at high altitudes where the risk is actually increased. And that's something I didn't know until I researched this. Only use fuel-burning space heaters in well-ventilated areas. Electrical space heaters pose no danger of carbon monoxide poisoning, unlike those that burn fuels such as kerosene. This doesn't excuse any lack of caution, though, of course, when using electrical heaters, as they need to be monitored too, because, of course, you can start an electrical fire if you don't leave things monitored. When using a gas-powered generator for electricity, so down south, when we have hurricanes, people will, cut on the generators, or they have generators in case there are power outages. But if you're using a gas-powered generator, be sure to keep it at a safe distance from the home. Install carbon monoxide detectors in your home to warn you if CO levels begin to rise. CO poisoning occurs when you inhale the fumes which prevent the body from using oxygen properly. Most exposures, as said before, happen in the winter because, of course, the whole space heater thing, needing more heat, it's cold. The most common source is, of course, the unvented space heaters. Typical fuels are those of natural gas and propane, and of course, while this is convenient so you can get extra heat on the spot, you can also, for the lack of a better word, fuck your shit up. Let's be real here. Another natural gas to be aware of and vigilant for is NO2, nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide is a toxic gas that, at a lower concentration, is an upper respiratory irritant causing cough, sore throat, headache, vertigo, and nausea. Some NO2 is always produced in a burning flame. NO2 is linked to an increase of asthma, which occurs in winter. Some final tips with the heaters and that sort of jazz is to not use an oversized heater, and don't operate the heaters for more than 4 hours at a time. Don't use unvented heaters in bedrooms, bathrooms, and other confined spaces where there's just no room for that gas to go. Finally, CO poisoning can be especially dangerous for people who are asleep, drugged, or drunk. Carbon monoxide can cause brain damage or death before anyone realizes there's a problem. There is also the risk of brain damage that wouldn't heal, damage to the heart, which can lead to life-threatening heart problems, assuming a person somehow lives through this.